This is Algebra 1, Term 5, Lesson 9, Literal Equations. First, we'll do a Desmos activity, and then we'll move to Graspable Math to do some goal state problems, and then we'll finish up with GeoGebra tasks. This lesson should take approximately 1 class period, so let's start with Desmos. This is the Solving Literal Equations activity. You may have seen it before by Kurt Salisbury. It's fantastic. I have added a little and tweaked it slightly, but it's mostly the same. So let's take a look at the first screen. The students will press this button and then describe what the machine is doing to this formula. On the next screen, I'm simply asking them to solve an equation that they've probably solved many times before. You will learn a lot about your kids at this point. I was always surprised in Algebra 1 to get kids that had no idea how to solve these types of equations. And when that happens, I stop and do an algebra tile lesson. So I am going to put in an algebra tile lesson for my next lesson for this type of problem, because if your kids can't do those, then literal equations are just about impossible. So I would, that's the reason this is here, is to see if they really understand the whole concept of solving a linear equation. And then I have them solve an equation with 2 variables, and I give them answer choices. So here's a good time to talk about inverse operations. What are we using? And they should notice that this equation, even though it has the variable y, is using the exact same operations as the linear equation in the last screen. Okay, now we're taking a true literal equation, and here's where you may want to define it for your class. I did not do that, but you could talk about the fact that there are no numbers in this equation. It's simply a formula, and we're solving this formula for y. So what happened first? What do you notice? And then what happened? So what operations are being used? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And in what way? Here they're going to practice again solving for y. 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. After you submit, explain what operations were used. This may be a good time to put your kids on the whiteboards and let them work in teams on some of these problems. That way kids can have conversations and discuss what they're doing. So this would be a good strategy. Another thing is, if a lot of your students are struggling through this part of this activity and are not sure what they're doing, I do have a Graspable Math activity which gives them lots of support, and you may want to go do that and then come back to this activity if necessary. Okay, now let's see what this machine is doing, and then I want the students to tell me what operations are being used and what is different about the formula after it emerges from the machine. Okay, here we have another machine. The variable is W that we're solving for, and to do this problem they have to move their tiles first. So they're going to drag these 4 colored tiles into this expression where the little dotted dashed rectangles are, and once they get them in place, then they'll be able to press the button that says move tiles first. So this is a way to check their answer. This one, I'm asking them what operations are needed to isolate the B. The formula is actually right there to the left of the machine. That is the area of a triangle, and we're being asked to isolate B. Now this particular problem, when they press the button, the machine is broken. So this is incorrect. So what is wrong with this expression? What did they do wrong? The key is to notice the operations that are being used in the original formula, and then what operations should be used when you solve that formula for the L. This one also is broken. I did go ahead and type it in the heading above so they can see what it was before you press the button and now what it is and what's wrong. What did they do wrong? What should the R equal? On this screen, they're going to basically create 2 stacks, and then this last one they're actually just solving for the height. They'll show their work here. Now if your kids are like mine, mine very much struggled with this. So the lifesaver was their Graspable Math activity. So like I said before, you may want to do it first, and you could even allow them to use it during this activity. If they really need it, they can go to math.new and type the formulas and solve the formulas for the given variable. But let's go to Graspable Math and look at the activity. So this activity has 8 goal state questions. The first one is fairly simple, and the goal is down here, so they'll just drag this X over here to isolate the Y. So in this problem, our goal is to isolate the Y. So let's first take this term. Now notice I'm dragging the X way down here. Take your time, and it will eventually grab that coefficient. And then we're going to place that here on the right side of the equation. What we did is we added 8x to both sides. Now the next step is to divide both sides by 2. So to do that, we simply drag it and put it over here. Now to simplify this, grab the 2 and push it slightly up. And then if you tap, or if you put this 2 up here with this 8, it'll go ahead and divide. Do the same thing here. It'll go ahead and divide, and then then you can continue. For this one, it is a little tricky because, again, we have to drag that X way down here. Keep doing it. And you want to put that in front of your 9. Let me show you another way to do this problem, because some teachers really do not want to drag across an equal sign. They just have a philosophical problem with it. I get that, but at this stage, and by the time they get to 9th grade, I don't have a problem. But some people do. So let me show you another strategy. If you click and hold the equal sign, an E will pop up, and that just means equation. And what you're doing is you're telling it to do something to both sides of the equation. So in this case, I would subtract 4x. So when you click, it's going to subtract 4x from both sides of the equation. Now I can combine like terms by clicking and dragging things around. Now notice my 9 is not really where I want it to be. I really want that to be on the right, because that y-intercept is going to be over there. And then I'm going to divide both sides by the -3. And then if you'll push that up, and then you've got to do some clicking and rearranging. So I'm going to put that x to the right of the fraction. I'm going to drag this negative over there to that negative. Now you'll notice this needs to be divided, so let's go ahead and do that. And then when you click on that minus sign, it combines with the plus sign there, and there it is. To do this one, though, we've done this in the past. You simply take the square root of both sides. Now, in order to get this, you do have to double tap on the equal sign. You can delete this answer if you want, but you can leave it there. It's already green, so either way. But this one's kind of fun. You can first subtract the 32. Let's see, I need to multiply both sides by 5. And divide by 9. Now this is the answer, but it's not in the right form. So let's see if we can fix that. First of all, C is on the left side, and it's currently on the right side. So what you do is you notice when I pick this up and put it up here, that bar shows up. If you let go, it's going to rearrange your equation for you. Now I'm going to distribute my 5 and multiply. So now I'm starting to see these numbers. And then I'm going to push this up into the numerator. And then move this to the side. And now there I have it. This is the formula. Solve for C. You may recognize this. This is degrees Celsius and degrees Fahrenheit. And that is the graspable math activity. So like I said before, if students need to solve, one way to do that is just to go to math.new, and they're going to see this, and then they can put their formulas in. So let's do V equals LWH, and we want to solve for H. We could divide by V, we could divide by L, and we can simplify. And so we've solved for H. So they can do the problems in Graspable Math on these other activities as well. That's up to you. All right, the last thing they're going to do is go to our GeoGebra task. These are all in their slides. So they will go to this link and they will be given a problem. Now there's really nowhere to work in here, so in their notes, in their show notes at the bottom of their slide, it tells them to use either pencil paper or they can use a whiteboard, and you may direct them to math.new if you'd like to solve these in math.new. But here's the formula: v equals pi r squared h, and you're told to solve for h. So which of these answers would it be? Now they're getting a little bit of repetition here. So we're going to click again. D equals 1/2 AT squared. What is the value of A in terms of D and T? Notice how these questions are being answered. They might be asked this way on a test. In the future, they do show up on your ACT and SAT like this. And then click New Problem, and then they'll keep going. Now over here in their slides, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in their show notes, it tells them be sure you have a different problem from the ones on the other slide. So they should do a total of 5 practice problems. So that concludes our literal equations lesson. Next time we'll do some algebra tiles. Y'all have a great day.